Welcome to your daily dose of theological German, where a sentence a day keeps the dissertation detractors away, unless, of course, you're not working on a dissertation or similar project right now, in which case, I'm not sure what these sentences are doing for you, but hopefully helping you to keep your German skills fresh, because it would sure be a waste to spend all that time learning to read German and then to just forget it all. And German authors have interesting things often to say, as we saw with our series on Paul Tillich. This week, we're starting a new series on a new author. We're going to move into some Old Testament work, and we're looking at this book, Hermeneutics. And you might want to translate this as Hermeneutics of the Torah, but I think Torah Hermeneutics is going to get better at the modification that's actually happening with this Genesis. And subtitle, Studies on the Tradition History of Proverbs 2 and on the Composition of Proverbs 1 to 9. If only all of our German reading could be titles and subtitles. They are typically very easy and not complicated at all. At the very beginning of this book, we're going to jump in right at section 1.3. This is because one of our viewers is doing some research in this area and has asked us to cover this in particular. And so if you are looking at some German that you would like to see covered on the channel, or something that you think would just be helpful to other people, some good examples of German that maybe you struggle to read through, etc., please do in the comments make your suggestions, because we do about 15 episodes on a given text and then we move on to a new one. So I'm always looking for texts that are relevant to our viewership of things that you would find interesting or are working on or had questions about, etc. So please do make your suggestions in the comments. Here we're going to be starting at section 1.3, which you could translate as the formulation of the question. So here we have out of or from, a preposition. You may recall from a previous video that I pointed out that in the vast majority of cases, in fact maybe all cases, but certainly in the vast majority of cases, in a German sentence, the first thing you will encounter in the sentence can only be one of two things. It is either the subject of the sentence, or it is some type of modifier, either a modifying adverb or else a full modifying phrase. And so here we have a modifying prepositional phrase, and so that's what begins the sentence. And when that happens, your verb will always come in second position after whatever the modifier is or after the subject. And if a modifier is what leads the sentence, then the subject will follow right after the verb. And we saw in cases in English constructions like here comes the police, or there goes my friend, that we have a similar kind of syntax. And so that's basically what happens in all German sentences, not just special cases like that one in English. And so here we have a prepositional phrase out of or from the, and then you have this interesting word. Now this is sort of a compound word, and you might look at this and you might see here something reminiscent of führen, which means to lead or something like that. And then you see the preposition on the front, aus. You might say to lead out or to take out. And you might think you can move on, but if you try to fit that concept as a noun into the sentence, you might find that it's very confusing. And so in cases where even though you might be able to piece it together a bit, it's still good to sometimes look these up. I'm going to look this up in Collins Dictionary online because I don't have Cassell's with me today. And in Collins Dictionary online, you'll find that there's actually quite a wide range of meaning for this word. And so you'll find some suggestions and examples there that are perhaps more fitting to your context. So this is what you will see. And you'll see here that you have carrying out, right, or something like that, taking. And you can see how that might fit the semantics of some of the parts of that word. However, you'll also see that down here you have explanation, exposition, remark, or report. And so it's not clear how this word would mean both of those kinds of things. I like to sometimes try to figure out how do you get semantically between these different possible meanings in different contexts. And it's not always clear with a German word how you get them. And so sometimes you just have to rely on your dictionary to tell you there's a sense in some contexts where this word means something like a remark or a report. And you'll find that that really is what's going to fit the context here. And so that's the one you're going to want to use. So from the remarks, or you can say comments, on the state of research, and here you have a compound word again. This one you probably won't find fully in the dictionary, but Stand means position or state. And if you look up Forschung, you'll see that it just means research. So it's a common expression in this type of academic writing, state of research. And on, and you'll notice here you have both cases here have this compound preposition with the definite article, zu here. So you want to make sure you're just recognizing that these two nouns are of equal status. They're conjoined by und, and they have the same status, and that's why this preposition is repeated. And so you want to say the comments on the state of research and on methodology. Then you have your verb, ergibt. In lexical form, this verb is ergeben, and so that's going to look like this. And so what happens when this becomes a present tense verb, and it's going to be third person, and so the vowel here shifts, becomes an I, and the morphology on the end changes to a T, and that's where you get ergibt. It's because it's the present tense third person, and it's also a reflexive verb, so you have sich here, and when you look this up, you'll see that it means something like arises or emerges, something like that. And then you have your subject following the verb, a threefold question formulation. The thing here is that you might be tempted to just say question, but Frage by itself means question, and here you have this other component, Stellung, which means something like a statement or formulation or how you put something. And so you want to just make sure you're getting that nuance in your translation, that this is not three questions. It's one question, but it's a threefold statement of the question, three parts to how this question is formulated. So a threefold formulation of the question. So just real quick to kind of try to get that all clear, from the comments on the state of research and on methodology, a threefold formulation of the question emerges.